Hello and welcome back everyone to the Drishti IAS English YouTube channel. My name is Pragya. Another important day, another important video of the trend analysis series. In today's episode of trend analysis, we are going to talk about another important and significant subject, and that is the subject of environment and ecology. And as I keep reiterating that this trend analysis is not only important for those students who are targeting the 2024 prelims, it is also important for those students who are preparing for the prelims 2025. So let us begin our discussion of trend analysis of the subject of environment and ecology. So if you talk about this subject of environment and ecology, the average number of questions that you can expect is minimum of 15 questions and maximum up to 20 questions can be asked from this subject. Because if you talk about the year 2022, then 19 questions were asked from this subject of environment and ecology. And if you'll see the topics, if you'll see the question pattern, you will find it that they are majorly related to the current affairs, apart from some of the important static portion. So if I talk about the topics which were asked in the 2023 prelims examinations from this subject, so you can see that from ecosystem, one question was asked. And not only from the ecosystem, you can expect a question on the differences between ecosystem and biome, kinds of biome. So all of this can be asked in your examination. Then comes the topic of biodiversity and its conservation. Very, very important topic. It is so important that you cannot absolutely skip this part, because in the year 2023 itself, 4 questions were asked from this topic. Then pollution and climate change, another important topic that is very much in the news and that is directly related to the current affairs. Because whenever I teach environment primer and I talk about climate change, I often teach you that yes, it is something which we are already experiencing. It is not something that is going on in the future, okay, that will happen in the future. And that is why climate change and the positive efforts to mitigate the impacts of climate change can be asked in your examinations. And if you talk about the year 2023, 4 questions were asked from the topic of pollution and climate change. Then if you talk about the topic of international organizations and conventions, 1 question was asked and 4 questions were asked from the topic of miscellaneous. Now let us look at some of the other important topics which the UPSC uses to ask the questions in the prelims examination. So these topics are such that they will help you in smart revision and you cannot absolutely skip these topics. Okay, so the first topic is biosphere and biome. Biosphere and biome. So we saw this topic asked in the year 2023 also, and I said that yes, biomes, types of biomes, types of ecosystem, biosphere. So these topics are very important if you talk about the static topics. Okay, so in the year 2022, 0 questions were asked. In the year 2021, 3 questions were asked, and in the last 5 years, no questions were asked from this topic. But you see, this is how the UPSC shuffles the trends. You will not expect a topic and suddenly you will go to give the examinations and see that topic in your question paper. So a minimum of 1 question and a maximum of 3 questions can be asked from this topic. Then if you talk about the topic of ecology and ecosystem, two questions were asked in the year 2022. Then 0, 0, 0. Then 1 question, 0 question, 1 question. So minimum of 1 question and maximum of 2 questions can be asked from this topic. Then if you talk about the topic of types of ecosystem, types of ecosystem. Another important topic from the static perspective. So 0 questions, then again 2 questions, then no questions. Okay. So see, again the trend reversed in the year 2021. They were not asking this topic and it resurfaced in the examinations. Then if you talk about the circulation of matter in the ecosystem, okay, circulation of matter in the ecosystem. And whenever I talk about ecosystem, species, those are in news, should be covered, okay, because this species is their favorite area of UPSC. Almost every year you can see a question repeating from the species which remained in the news throughout the year. Okay, so if you talk about the circulation of matter in ecosystem, 0 question, 1 question and not asked in the last 5 years. So again you can see that yes, in the 2021 the trend got reversed and they picked up this topic to ask 1 question from this topic. Then if you talk about environmental adaptation, environmental adaptation, 0 questions, then the trend again reversed, 3 questions, then 0 questions, 0 question, 1 question in the year 2018 and 0 questions. So you can see that yes, this is how the trend is shuffling. The topics which are least expected are very much asked now and very frequently. And whenever you will analyze these topics now, do pay attention to the options which the UPSC is putting. Okay, the wrong options. Because what it will do, it will ask these questions from the wrong options of the topics. So that is why you need to have a very bird's eye view of the questions as well as the options which are incorrect. Then if you talk about the environmental pollution and acidification, environmental pollution and acidification. So environmental pollution remains the all evergreen favorite, all-time favorite of the UPSC Prelims examinations. So 4 questions were asked in the year 2022 and around 4 questions were asked in the year 2023 also, which we saw in the further previous slide that yes, 4 questions were asked from the topic of pollution, climate change, then there is acidification also, acid rain, okay, and then 2 questions, then again 4 questions, then 0 questions and 2 questions and 1 question. So if you see the trend that yes, minimum number of questions are 2 and the maximum of 4 questions can be asked from this topic. Then if you talk about the biodiversity and its conservation, very, very important topic. I have mentioned this in my previous slide as well that yes, biodiversity and its conservation, especially the species, the conservation efforts, okay, the national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, etc., which have remained in the news and which are very important from the prelims perspective, will be asked in your examinations. So see, 3 questions were asked in the year 2022, 4 questions were asked in the year 2023, and if you talk about the year 2020, 6 questions. So a minimum of 2 questions and a maximum of around 4 to 6 questions can be asked from the topic of biodiversity and the conservation techniques too, which we are following, and the major animal projects, etc., also the major national wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, bird sanctuaries, etc. Okay, so pay very detailed attention to the topic of biodiversity and conservation. Moving forward to the topic of climate change. Climate change in the year 2022 as well, 4 questions. When we were discussing 2023, we saw that yes, 4 questions were again asked from this topic. Then 2 questions, 1 question and has not been asked. because at that point of time in the year 2015, 16, 17, the impacts were slowly becoming more dangerous in nature. But if you talk about the impacts which we are seeing from the year 2020, they have become very significant in nature. Then if you talk about the sustainable development and agriculture, sustainable development and agriculture. See, SDG goals, MDG goals, very famous. Not only in UPSC, in other examinations as well. They keep on repeating this topic of SDG goals and MDG goals, and whatever the National Action Plan on Climate Change, then what the steps towards sustainable development India is taking, what are the government schemes regarding it, okay, how we are achieving sustainable development in the field of agriculture. So this topic again becomes very, very important from the examination point of view. So two questions, then 0 question, again 3 questions and 1 question. So basically, if the UPSC will want to shuffle the trend, it will pick up this topic and ask you about the SDG goals, the government schemes regarding SDG which we are trying to implement, then whatever the schemes are there in the sector of agriculture through which we are trying to achieve sustainable development. So all of this can be expected in your prelims examination. And this topic again becomes very, very important, and that is the topic of environmental legislations in India. Environmental protection and the major environmental movements. Again, a very important topic from the perspective of your examination. So in the year 2022, 2 questions were asked. Then 1 question, 2 questions, 1 question, 2 question, 2 questions. That means a maximum of 2 questions is being expected from this topic. And definitely they will ask you the Forest Rights Act, whatever you see in the current affairs. Now recently the Wildlife Protection Act has also been amended. The Forest Rights Act has also been amended. So whatever you will see in the current affairs, the environmental legislations such as the Environmental Protection Act, even they will ask you questions on these legislations. Then if you talk about the international organizations, international conventions, with relation to the environment, then 1 question, 2 questions, 0 question, 0 question, 0, 1, 1. So minimum of 1 question is going to come in your paper regarding the important and significant environmental organizations as well as the environmental conventions. Recently in the June 2023, we saw the Bonn Convention on Climate Change. Then G20 also saw the rise of Global Biofuels Alliance. Okay. So this is how you can see that yes, whatever the international efforts or treaties are going on, you can expect a question in this regard as well. Then if you talk about the energy sector, especially the renewable energy, again a key focus area. 1 question, 0 question, 0 question, 0 question, 1 question and 2 questions and 1 question. But I would suggest that yes, renewable energy sector is very important for this year prelims, because we have seen government schemes in this regard, and throughout the year it has almost remained in the news throughout the last year. So yet yes, you can expect that yes, whatever renewable energy resources we are trying to boost, okay, whatever we are trying to do to curtail the uses of fossil fuels, you can expect a question on those topics and those government schemes as well. Moving forward, this is the year-wise trend of questions from the subject of environment. If you talk about the year 2008, 15 questions, and the maximum number of questions has been asked in the year 2014, 24 questions. Then in the year 2016, 22 questions. Then 12, 15, 14, 12, 15. 15 questions in the year 2022. And that is why I said that, and on an average you can expect a minimum 15 questions, and a maximum 20 questions on the subject. And if the UPSC will want to shuffle the trend as it has done in the year 2014 and 16, more than 20 questions can also be asked from this particular subject. Moving forward, this is the topic-wise distribution of questions from the year 2008 till the year 2022. As you can see, ecosystem, 42 questions have been asked from the year 2008 till the year 2022. Biodiversity and its conservation, 88 questions. And that is why I am saying that yes, these topics become very, very important from you, and they are almost unescapable in nature. So whenever you will sit to revise, do pay heed to these topics, because they will actually increase your score and they will actually help you in very smart revision. Okay. Then pollution and climate change, 52 questions. International organizations and conventions, 45 questions. And miscellaneous topic, 15 questions. So till now, by this discussion, you might have a fair idea that what are the important topics from which the questions are actually coming. And they are all-time favorites of the UPSC. So yes, you can definitely expect the questions from these important topics in the subject of environment and ecology. And I hope you are preparing well for your examination, and this series might be actually helping you in realizing that yes, which are the topics that should be your key areas in your last minute revision. And I do not forget to mention the importance of the test series. So I assume that you might be assessing yourself by joining in our Drishti IAS test series, which we are conducting for the Prelims 2024 examinations. And if you have still not joined, kindly join the test series by downloading the Drishti Learning app. Drishti Learning app. Which is available on both Android, iOS, and as well as on your Windows desktop. Okay. And you can definitely assess your performance, and you can figure it out that how much more you need to study for the upcoming examinations. And I wish you all the best. I hope all of my students clear the prelims examination this year. I hope this session was insightful for you. If you have any feedback regarding this session, kindly drop it in the comment box below. If you liked today's discussion and found it to be helpful, kindly like the video and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting updates. Thank you.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.